Hello, everyone. My name is Jose Nostrat. I'm from Untitled Pro, and I'm pleased to present you today the webinar where we are going to discuss about how to set up a multi-country learning program. This webinar is going to last around 30-35 minutes, and then I'm going to give you some time just to put your questions or to have a dialogue about your specific experience and anything that you would like to share regarding your challenges on setting up and implementing global learning programs. So I'm going to wait just a couple of minutes to get the people to join. You've got on your left side the possibility of putting questions that I will try to answer at the end of the presentation, and also you can use the chat feature you've got on your left side. Okay, so let's start. So first of all, just I just introduce who we are. We are the Pro. My name is Jose Martrat. I'm here because I had the opportunity to participate with different organizations implementing global training programs. And what I'd like to share is today the key findings that we are identifying, that the key challenges and the key elements that you need to take in consideration when setting up global learning programs. So then you can take them in consideration for your future programs. So what we are the program for today is a quick introduction first about who we are and why we believe that we have relevant experience on that topic. And then we are going to explain our view on how to develop those global learning programs. We have put some examples specifically for sales learning programs, sales training programs, but they are equally applicable to any type of global learning programs. And at the end, I'm gonna, as I said, I'm gonna give some minutes to answer your questions. So very quickly, in a nutshell, so who we are sales and training consulting firm with global reach. We are a business based in Spain. We've got offices in Barcelona, Madrid, but we also have a global presence through our office in Mexico, Brazil, and Australia. And we have a pretty broad network of training and consultants across the globe where help us to deliver programs on a very local base. We are a team of around 20 consultants, plus this network of the trainers and consultants that are located in different positions of the globe that you can see here on the blue dots. We have already delivered global training programs in more than 20 countries, which we are pleased from different locations like from Canada to Argentina, China, Japan, Indonesia, South Africa. So definitely we had experience in delivering programs truly across the globe. We work across all industries and services, so we are able to cope with programs where we can leverage the challenges in one sector to the others. And I think this is the beauty and what I believe our customers expect from us, this capability of cross-fertilize from the learnings of one sector to another sector. In the last years, we have developed training programs for global companies like Mafre or UPL, as I said, in multi-language environments where we had the need to get people producing content and delivering training content in many different languages and cultures. And this gave us the ability and the possibility to explain how we have done it to you today. Before we go, so let's talk about first about the key challenges we are facing and why it makes sense to develop a global training program. So then our view or our, let's say, our inspiration about why it's important to develop those programs will rely on two things. First is our experience of working together hand by hand with our customers, and also from other side, we really rely on the thought leadership of the leaders in consulting, in this case, McKinsey. We're really we are identifying some elements that really inspire us to do the programs as we do them. Okay. So first of all, what is in this case reports from McKinsey say so that as of today, people is very used to work on remote environments on a hybrid approach. And internally, organizations are adapting and they are part of their normal way of working. But also from a sales perspective, we are identifying that companies between the others, they like this way of having this type of relationship. There are some countries which are more advanced than others, but in general, we are analyzing that people is still happy in the way they are being contacted by their customers. So in this inquiry from McKinsey, where we're comparing how is effective this way of new working in a hybrid model, definitely even new customers or even with existing customers, everyone feels enough comfortable and has evolved very clearly to an adoption of this hybrid relationship between customers and companies. Okay, so on that context, we need to take in consideration very clearly that those companies need to adapt to this new way of working. And here, what we have analyzed through this market analysis from McKinsey, is what are the drivers that make that some companies perform better than others. And it's important to identify what are those drivers to then apply them on a learning program. So in this case, there are 4 pillars that make a difference between those companies that experience a growth on sales. On one side is the capability of adapting analytics and data analysis and gathering as much information from the customer. So those companies that are really embracing analytics and data make rapid proactive decisions through the customer journey are those that are advanced. The other is the ability of the organizations to transform, to change and to adapt the organization, the functions, so to be able to really respond to the market changes and the customer changes. The third pillar is the talent and really develop world-class training programs. And the fourth is technology. We're going to focus on the talent side of this pillar. And if we go in deep on the talent area, those companies that compared to the average companies, the outperformers, what they do. So in general, most companies already deliver, in this case, we are analyzing sales team performance. So companies normally are used to develop sales training programs. But what is the difference of those companies that are outperformers, those that really are showing a growth on their performance? The key difference is that they provide tailored coaching and continually adapted training. And let's see what does it mean. Basically, those companies that really define a tailor-made learning programs, experience a higher growth. This is why, well, basically because you can bring training program from the outside, you can bring uh, specific or already developed methodologies to develop any specific skill set, like negotiations or working teams or leaderships. They are plenty of already developed content. But what really resonates and makes a difference is when you tailor those programs to your specific needs, to your specific situations, to your specific um, behaviors and cultures. So it's one of the elements that we really emphasize with our customers. We have plenty as a training firm of already produced content that we can deliver to our customers, but we spend a lot of time and a lot of energy on adapting those training contents. And this is why then when you adapt, then you achieve a better performance. The other element is managers. The role of the managers, what the findings of this McKinsey survey is that those companies, outperformers, really their managers spend more than 50% of their time delivering coaching to their teams. And this is a key difference, which make us aware that when you are training a team and when you are planning to deliver a training program at a global scale, definitely you cannot focus only on the specific segment of employees that might require to enhance a specific capability. You also need to involve their leaders in the training and on the post training, so they in reality deliver an effective coaching to reinforce this training. This is another element that we'll see later on that we are applying it. So those principles that we are presenting based on quantitative data of surveys on how are performing companies better than others and what are the keys on the talent arena, we have translated that on these 6 different pillars at the moment of delivering or at the moment of designing a training program, a global training program. The audience, the contents and methodology, technology, trainers, and global versus local role. And we are going to go one by one, just so and you understand a bit better what do we mean by each of those elements. So before starting on that, some key elements that you need to take in consideration when delivering a training program. We should be moving from what we consider pure training programs to performance improvement programs, especially those programs where what we are designing is with an objective of changing behaviors and results. What does it mean? Well, basically, when we are talking about this is a model, this pyramid shows, and the pyramid of is an adaptation of the Kirkpatrick learning evaluation model. Typically, the programs are designed so the participants should be happy with the program. The next level is where a participant not only is happy with the training, but also has learned some content. And this is where most of the today's global training programs, they stop here. But our recommendation is go one level up in this pyramid. So try to design programs where we are trying to change behaviors. And this means that you need to identify those behaviors upfront that you want to change, and then try to design a program to measure what is that behavior before and what is the behavior after the program. And the last level, in order to be really successful, is not define a program to change behaviors, but define a program to really impact on the results of the company. Okay, so on the first level, the minimum is that the training program achieve a high level of satisfaction between participants. If you don't get that, then you cannot move forward. But the next step is make sure that the participants have acquired uh, uh, content, learning content, then they are applying those content, and this means they change the behaviors, and then you generate an impact on the company. And this is an example of how we do that. So basically, you have to define training content that then you can measure. And ideally, when you are defining a global training program, you should prepare to measure not only the level of knowledge that the participants have acquired at a certificate and a specific region or in a specific country or on a specific level, but we should be able to have tools to compare the performance of this training between different regions. So when you design the program, you need to design it so you can measure the results between different countries, regions, and cultures. These are an important element that you need to take in consideration from the very beginning. And when we measure this level 3, we are talking in the pyramid, this level 3 here, what does it mean, behaviors? This means, and I'm going to put you this is an example of how we measure behaviors. In this case, this is taken from an example from a sales training program, where in this case we have created like 3 behaviors, 2 or 3 behaviors by different phases of the sales process, in this case from the preparation, need detection, pitch, objection, negotiation, and closing. So in this case, as it was a sales training program, what we have done is identify specific behaviors to the sales role, okay? And what we have is defined those behaviors which they can be absolutely cross-cultural and cross-region 100% valid. Okay, so in this case, we have those elements which are absolutely common. All those phases are perfectly applicable on different countries, and then the only thing we do is just to translate it to a different language. Okay, but try to measure those behaviors from different countries and from different cultures. Okay, and then we, in order to measure that, we used to measure before the program and then after the program. And to measure it after the program, we used to develop very simple tools where we provide those typically web-enabled or mobile-enabled tools, where through simple surveys, we are giving the tool to the leaders to validate and to check that those behaviors we have defined here are really applied on the reality. Okay, so we pass regular surveys, so the leaders for each of the participants of their teams which have participated on a training program, they measure using an app whether they are applying in the reality those behaviors that we were intending to change. Okay, so other elements, the audience. For us, when we are defining a global training program, normally we realize that global companies or companies that have several countries, when you go in deep on the organizations of each of the countries, you identify that the organization doesn't match, or the roles doesn't match, or that there are different organizations. It's very important to, before launching the program and defining the program, make sure that you identify and you match all the different profiles within the different countries. And maybe in some cases, a country might have a different organization, but normally, if you focus on the function and the role rather than on the title, you are able to identify and to match for each of the country which are the right profile. Okay, an example again on the sales side. If I'm going to define a sales program, I'm not going to take only people with the role of sales, but also anyone with direct interaction with customers. This gives me really a broad perspective, so I'm training all the people which have a touch point with my customers. Okay, and this means, as we said, to map the different roles in each country. The naming could be different, but at the end, if we focus on roles and functions, then we should be able to map. As we said from the learnings from the McKinsey report, not only the sales rep, but also involve sales managers. And as we said, sales managers should have a specific program where we train them to be able to deliver afterwards a proper coaching to their sales team. This is the best way to really consolidate the learnings afterwards. In this case, if we are defining a sales program and we only involve the sales reps, then probably we are losing a big part of the levers to really change behaviors afterwards. And as we said, we should be involving any role which has some type of interaction with the customer in the whole customer journey. Second topic, content. We said at the beginning, companies that outperform really tailor their training programs. Following the example of a sales training programs, there are many sales training methods. If you are familiar with it, probably you have been familiar with the Sandler selling, the spin selling, or the challenger selling models. So take any one of them, no problem, or a combination of them, but do not copy and replicate it standalone to your organization. Try to adapt, try to match your go-to-market, your customer journey, your channels, your product sales process to adapt this baseline, this framework, this vanilla platform of methodologies to deliver the program, but adapt it to your reality. This is where you will make a difference if you really customize to your situation. And when you design this content, involve from the very beginning those people that will receive this training program. So if it's a training program for middle managers, when you have customized the content, before launching the program, get some people to validate whether this is suitable and or it should be improved by any means. This is fundamental to make sure that what you are designing is really applicable to the target audience afterwards. And not only involve some participants, but try to also consider that you will probably deliver this program to many countries. So create a multi-country team where you can really get the feedback from many cultures, from many different countries, to make sure that the program, the global content that you are designing will be applicable and will be relevant to all the countries in your organization. Okay. A way to do that, because we know that you can find different cultures, different go-to-market approach in different countries. A way to develop that is to create different tracks with optional modules that let the country to choose at the time of implementing the program, then choose whether they take one module or another. This is a very useful way to really then implement and tailor the program to the specific needs of a specific country. Okay. And finally, regarding content, try to develop at least 70% of the time of the training, whether it's digital, face-to-face, we'll talk about that later on. It needs to be practical. Try to make it as practical as possible. Another element, okay, as of today, when we talk about technology, we've got the temptation of delivering global learning programs as they need to be delivered fast on a global scale with constraints in budget, we tend to work on a digital-only approach. Normally, when we are delivering training programs, as we said, they will require a further coaching. They will require that you change your behaviors. And to change behaviors, you need to deliver some type of experiential training. This is why we believe that the pure digital programs are affordable and fast to deploy, but the learning impact is going to be limited. So we really recommend to combine digital content with a facilitator-led program. So remote blended will be the best option to really deliver global programs and fulfilling the needs of doing on a limited time scale and in a limited budget. Another recommendation, use video with a trainer which is looking to you at the audience. This will increase the engagement. So try to avoid those training where you rely on graphics and move to a video environment, because will improve the impact on the participant. So this means that, a last comment, that you should design those contents taking into consideration the methodology and the technology in mind. This is just an example of how it could work, this combination of a blended program. So you can have a specific team sessions with the participants, then you provide some content, digital content on modules which are available on a digital training platform, and then which participants will do on their own, for instance, with a time frame of 1 week. And then you meet again with all the participants and a facilitator to really put in practice what they have learned on their own through the digital platform. Okay, and we repeat the same pattern on the following week, where we are providing new content which we upload to a platform, and at the end we have a webinar with a facilitator that will help to consolidate and to put in practice the learnings of the program. And as we said, any training program should have some type of follow-up methodology. It could be individual coaching, it could be using an app which sends you reminders on a push base, where you can reinforce some specific messages, and you can convey messages to the audience, so they can, from time to time, every 2 weeks or every month, to have a short reminder about specific elements that have been learned before. Okay, or it could be a more intense approach where the team leaders, the managers of the participants, will have a specific one-to-one session to validate and to review how the learnings are being applied on the reality. Okay. About the trainers, when we're talking about delivering global programs, we strongly recommend to use country-based local trainers with experience in delivering normally remote or this type of trainings. So normally companies, they try to, they think that it's better that if I have to deliver a program for 20 countries, I could have a trainer that knows very well the content and goes country by country delivering this training program. Or I have a group of trainers and then I distribute the program. 3 trainers will deliver these 10 countries, these other trainers will deliver this other group of 10 countries. We don't believe on this model, because at the time of delivering global sales, global training programs, at the end you want to deliver a global methodology, a global content, a global way of working. That's true, but we cannot forget that every country, every group of people, every market has its own needs. And the best way of matching those 2 elements, once you have designed your program with some elements to customize it for the global, for the country, another way, another layer of adapting to the local needs is when you are using local trainers. So if you use local professional trainers, which of course they need to go through a certification, through a train the trainers program, okay, then you will deliver a much better training experience. Participants will really appreciate to receive the training on their local language, although the content is it's global. But if they have someone who speaks their language, who knows their culture, even if everyone speaks English, if they can receive the training in local language, it's always a better training experience. An important remark, try to avoid, if possible, internal trainers. Sometimes internal trainers, they might know very well content like the product, if they want to explain a product or a process. But internal trainers are not always the best trainers. Why? Because they might have a very good knowledge, but they might lack skills in communications. They might lack skills in training, which are very important when you are delivering a training program. So equally important is the content you have prepared than who is delivering this training. So if you have the possibility, please rely on professional trainers rather than internal trainers. Another important element to customize the program is translation. Some best programs can fail due to bad translation. So our recommendation, use agencies for translation, yes, but make sure that the person who is assigned to this translation knows the content. And whenever this is not always possible, or at least in any case as a double check, please use someone from the local team, from the country who is going to receive this training to validate and to participate on all the stages of the translation to make sure that we are really accurate in that sense. Okay. Also, we strongly recommend that those trainers, before the training, participate in some elements of customization with the country. So before the training, we recommend trainers and local managers, local leaders to meet, to review the content and see which elements need to be adapted. And if the trainer, local trainer, can participate on that phases, that really will help to really adapt and make a successful training. And just to finalize, the last element, the global versus local role. When thinking about designing a global program, normally big organizations have global teams who think about the content, but then the program it's implemented by the local team. So when should be the local organization be involved, and when should the global organization be involved? So some key basic guidelines. Budget for the implementation. Normally, this budget rely at local level. Our recommendation is that this should be at least agreed, or at least monitorized, that there is budget on the local level, but the global team is aware that this budget exists, because sometimes there are some programs which fails because I have created a global program, I have spent money on designing a global program, but then I rely on the countries to implement it. And the countries, they simply do not implement it because they don't have budget, or because they have not allocated budget to that program. So at the time of designing the program, it's very important to make sure that local countries in advance, they are booking budget to deliver the programs. Second element, who is going to sponsor this program? This definitely needs to be global. Trainer selection. we really recommend the local HR teams to be involved in the trainer selection. And who should be selling the program to the country? Well, here we recommend to get the local team, the local HR team, but also the global team to take part on the process of selling the program to the country. And then content customization, local teams need to have some room of maneuver to adapt the content, to customize the content, not only on the translation, we already mentioned that, but also on a specific dynamics, on a specific role plays, on a specific exercises, or on a specific modules that we are giving the freedom to the local team to choose. And finally, in terms of platform, well, sometimes we've got platform that works across all countries, but that needs to be fine-tuned, adapted. So here, sometimes it's better to manage at global level, or sometimes it's better to manage at local level. And KPIs, definitely, we need to set. We said that our objective at the end is to measure the impact of a training program in terms of results. Remember the pyramid where we're talking about the different levels. So we need to define from the very beginning at global level behaviors that we want to achieve to change at global level in all countries and in all geographies. So definitely the definition of the behaviors that we want to change on the impacts we want to achieve, global should take an important role on that definition. And just to finalize, some key messages for each of the elements. We are passing 5 minutes from what we said, but just to finalize, the audience involve all profiles, including any, in this case of example we were making about if we are going to deliver a training program, we should be thinking about not only salespeople, but also anyone with customer interaction. Methods. Leverage on existing methods, but customize it and create your own training program. Technology. Avoid digital-only programs if possible, because we are talking about experiential of changing behaviors, and if we need to change behaviors, these trainings need to be experiential. So please, even it could be on a remote approach, but use training facilitated methodologies. Use trainers, use country-based trainers with experience in delivering those type of programs. So certificate them before the program, and decide upfront the different roles and responsibilities, not only at the time of defining the program, but also at the time of implementing the program, to make sure that you are being able to successfully not only create the content and produce a global training program, but also to implement it with a specific consolidated metrics that will help you to analyze and measure whether this training program has been a success. So that's all from my side. If there is any questions, I let you to put the questions on the chat. Yeah, there is a question about the methodologies. I'm going to get back. Yeah. So what we mean by those, yeah, here about the webinars. Yeah, when we're talking about webinars, at the end, this could be when we're talking about designing a program and combining digital content and webinars. These webinars could be face-to-face or via Teams. So what we are saying is that you should combine at the beginning, at mid-size of the program, and at the end of the program, So at different stages of the program, a moment where you have your audience with a facilitator to really put in practice on a face-to-face basis, either through a screen or on a physical room, the exercises and solve questions, solve doubts, but being able to experience the topic that we are trying to learn. Okay, and on that sense, this is what we mean by those type of blended programs, where we have a combination of digital content and which the participant can visualize on an LMS, on a learning management system, on a training platform, and combine it with facilitator lead sessions. Okay. More questions? There's a question about cost. The difference between the cost of training delivery and training and the content production. Well, normally these programs are divided into, in one part you design the program, and normally this is a cost which is typically funded by global budgets. And then the implementation, we already discussed how this should be done, but normally the implementation, it's relied on local budgets from the HR teams. There are some situations where we found where even the design of the program has been also funded by local teams on a pro rata basis on the size of the country. Well, there are different ways of calculating that. But what is important for us is that when thinking of designing a global training program, you should be considering of the whole picture of not only design the content, but also the particularities and the cost and how you are going to structure the cost of delivery, and who is going to fund it. Okay. Okay, there are no more questions. So just to finalize, really say thank you to all the participants, and I hope just to put our contacts. So if you have any further questions, any further comment, you can drop me an email at jmartrat@actitudepro.com, and you can find more on our website, www.actitudepro.com. We will also send the presentation to all participants who have attended or have registered to the program. So it will be available to you soon through the email. So thank you very much, and have an excellent day. Bye.